Hi, I want to do a reading for you today. I spent some time with some cards that I had that came out yesterday, and I just been kind of like doing my little weird thing where I stare at my cards for a while and spend some time studying the edges of the galaxy of my brain, I guess. So today is another adventure to the galaxy of my brain and the places that I have studied to the nth degree to make hopefully a reading resonate with one person in the universe. So today's reading has a lot of Sagittarius energy, and that doesn't mean that this has to be for a Sagittarius sun, moon, or rising. The energy of Sagittarius is present in everybody's chart somewhere. So when I'm reading this, if you are a Sagittarius sun, moon, or rising, listen to it a little bit more personally from some of the ways that I explain it. But for everybody else, if you are familiar with your Sagittarius energy or the way that this message is coming across, just kind of marinate with it. I'm not telling you that it is. I'm just telling you to think about the things that I have found to talk about and see if they happen to resonate with any part of yourself in any kind of manner. So, the first card we got, here we go, whoo, is the new moon in Sagittarius. So it says, luck is on your side. So sometimes we may have a tendency to feel unlucky or feel like something, I don't know, like we can catastrophize events or be slightly pessimistic. So this one is trying to remind you to remember to stay positive because there are good things coming. When it's just beginning, when it's coming from darkness, it means that there is energy of positivity coming in. So what it says is the new moon in Sagittarius is a wildfire and vision. To aim higher and burn away doubt. Trust the leap even if the landing is unknown. The element is of fire. It is immutable, which means changeable or adaptable energy. Its planetary ruler is Jupiter, the cosmic amplifier. The dream big stage. I have kitties playing with things over here. So what is in your life loud right now? Like it can be sound-wise, emotion-wise, anything that's loud. This is the area that it's talking about for you personally. And it says, a new quest begins, not a simple goal, but a soul mission. Faith is reborn, which means that you may have lost faith in something, someone, yourself, whatever it is. You may not see the road, but you have to trust that your feet will not lead you astray. A lot of times we forget that we almost have this like sonar built into us, our intuitive self, and sometimes we forget to use that and tap into it. So that's what it's basically saying, is to trust yourself, especially when confused and you're genuinely trying to make a good decision. That's when you have to trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, then you need to start having a trust fall with yourself and then be there to catch yourself also, to not let yourself down. It says, truth rises like a torch in the dark, and you can't lie to yourself anymore. So think about the moon equals feelings. So what are we feeling? And what have you been trying to lie to yourself about, or, force feed yourself something, or like when information comes from you from externally, when people are giving you opinions or telling you things about other people or situations or something like that, you have to use your own discernment and to be able to, find the truth in it. Expansion calls to you in books, in traveling, teachers, synchronicity, and wild ideas. So that's the energy of Sagittarius coming through there. So somebody could possibly be wanting to learn more, to start a new project that requires schooling of some sort, or literally wanting to go to school to learn something. And it says freedom becomes non-negotiable. So think about where you need the freedom to be you, 100%, and unapologetically, you know, like, I need this space. I really need this space. And it's a sense of breaking away. And it may be relevant. Note the area, right? So where you're feeling a resistance and you need to have that that change happen, or you're trying to force something in that area. And it says, burn all your old maps. They won't lead you where you're meant to go. Don't go back. The only way is forward. So that can talk about right here where it's talking about your comfort zone will kill you, is what I wrote down. So think about every time you go through something and you're experiencing something, where do you have a tendency to go back to every time? What is your fall, your go-to emotional pattern? How do you talk to yourself? What kind of ways do you deal with it? What kind of things do you do to feel safe? And there may be a place that you try to go out of habit that's not really safe for you anymore, or it's not fulfilling in some kind of way. And then the part of you that is afraid to be seen, and I made sure to circle that. So a fear of being seen in some way, it says it's your next level. So that part of yourself where you've been dealing with rather staying away and doing some sort of keeping yourself hidden in some kind of way. You don't need all the answers. You just need the courage to ask the right questions aloud. And your laughter is a compass, and your longing is a bow. And then we got the card Mercury. So Mercury rules over Gemini, and Mercury is the mind planet. It also is considered the traveling energy. So it is at 16 degrees Aries, which is considered the warrior mind. And it's the sword unsheathed, a declaration, thinking in sparks and speaking with flames, and learns by doing, preferably at warp speed. So a sword unsheathed. And I had some other tarot cards that I pulled down here, so I just kind of want to, the Five of Swords energy that comes with that. That energy is very, obviously this card can mean that it causes arguments and misunderstanding, but it's normally caused by words. And so this is keys, right? But it normally is swords. And it says, words come first, editing comes maybe later. Thoughts are sharp and fast, instinctual. Communication is direct, bold, and sometimes very spicy. Learning is kinetic, and you don't want a lecture, you just want a challenge or a mission. And then this came through, it's like, have you read this? And I wrote it in bold letters. And I put parentheses, possibly a news event. If it wants to express now with urgency and process it later. So sometimes if you're thinking about the event is sharp in some kind of way, or like it could be something that's already happened, or it could be something that is happening, or something that might happen, something energy like that. So, and 16 degrees of Aries is considered the heart of Aries, and Chiron recently passed over this point. So this area may feel sensitive or tenderized. So think about, Chiron is considered the wound, right? the place in which we're dealing with something, this thing right here, right? And it does, when we're in the middle of feeling something, this is a very hard thinking card. It's kind of like we get pushed out into the depths of ourselves to marinate in this energy. And sometimes, instead of sometimes it being confusing, that energy of this card is ruled by Scorpio, which is to be very perceptive, even though it's overwhelming. So it says, wounds around not being heard, or speaking too soon and regretting it, or probably the energy of over-explaining yourself and not feeling like you were heard even when you tried to explain your best self. It just, nothing you did seemed to, you understand. And then it says old burns from expressing yourself too boldly or not boldly enough. To the call to reclaim your voice without apology, but with integrity. So it's like when you finally learn to stand up for yourself, not just being someone who's like, I've been hurt in this particular way, in this type of area, and I want to hurt somebody exactly the same kind of way. It's like, how do we evolve with grace? And the gift of this is you become a natural truth speaker and you cut through the bullshit. May be excellent in debates, activism, improv, sales, leadership, writing or speaking. Your words may come with a punch. You may have, or you may cause clarity and momentum, whether when you discover something or when you say something to somebody, of a shove in a cognitive way. And learns by testing the edge and how far you can push a limit, basically, is what I thought that was. And now the shadow work area of this is slow down enough to hear yourself say it. So before you say it to somebody, say it to yourself. Obviously, sometimes you can't practice at what you're trying to say, especially in the heat of the moment, like this is saying, but like it's asking you to think before speaking, basically. Cultivate discernment, not just bravery. Learning the difference between raw truth and kind truth. Let your words heal as well as spark. So that would be kind of like this energy over here. This energy can be like a celebratory type of energy, but it's also, it's kind of got the energy of Leo with it, the way that it's talking about. The energy of being seen or some way, because the Leo is the one who shines in the sun, or someone who has like a platform or on a stage, or like a podcaster, or somebody who has the ears of many, basically. And it says, use your voice like a torch, not a weapon. Your words are fire and your mind is the matchstick. So what are you setting ablaze? Think like a warrior, but speak like a poet who's been to war and come back with grace. And then I'm going to just set this over here. And then the next card I got was a time for healing, the balsamic moon. So literally a time for healing. So like I was just talking about the wound in Chiron, about being seen in some kind of way, heard. And so this is telling you it's a time for healing. And it's the final breath before disappearing into darkness. It's a sacred stillness before a new becoming. So it's kind of like, one might call it kind of like a rebirth. This energy of the Hanged Man, right? Sometimes you need to go away from things and have time to think and see something from a different perspective. It can be a time of release, rest, and revelations. Let it go. Like really, really let it go. Shed like a snake and mourn if you must, but don't cling. Pay attention to your dreams. You may receive important messages or answers that come through sleep. It's not a time to initiate something. Wait, right? So this is the Hangman. The energy is to wait. And it says, honor your grief instead of pushing it away. Be there for yourself, for the one you are now, and the version of you who experienced any type of pain, and trust in the darkness, in your darkness. Understand it instead of criticizing it. So that almost has, like the self-esteem energy of the Queen of Talesmen, which she's also the Queen of Coins. Your worth comes into that. And it's also letting you know that you don't have to know what's next. You just have to stop clinging to what no longer is. So, the statement like beating a dead horse, or, it's way past its due date. Like we all do this randomly. Like our cupboards always have like shit in there from like years ago, and you're like, but what if I need it? And then you like want to go use it, and then it's like the wrong year, and then sometimes you should throw it away, but sometimes you don't, and you're just like, why am I keeping on to this? Like people, emotions, crap, stuff, just, sometimes letting go of something, sometimes even insignificant things, silly. And then needs solitude like it's oxygen. Feels like things are always ending, even though things are beginning. So yeah, this energy could probably bring, so it's something feels like it's ending, but something is always beginning at the same time. So they just constantly revolve around each other. A time to cleanse things, like take a bath, a really long shower, writing a release letter and burning it under moonlight. Maybe sleeping with amethyst or labradorite to catch dream messages, if that's something that you need. And then we have, I noticed in the chart that I got this, it came out in the shuffle, but I also noticed that Pallas and Athena were in conjunction at 21 degrees Aquarius, so it was repeating 21 energy. And then the ruler of Sagittarius, Jupiter, is also in Gemini at 21 degrees. So I went into degree theory and stuff. So Pallas, Athena. So we have two major mind thinkers on the table, Mercury and Pallas. These both say use your mind, think. Use it. It's a tool, right? So Athena is the warrior and a wise woman. So this could literally refer to a wise woman. Either you are one or someone you do know. It could be talking about that, or it's talking about the energy for you to digest and hopefully maybe use. We'll see. And it shows up as pattern recognition, strategy, creative intelligence, feminine wisdom in action, like a divine mind meets magic. In Aquarius, a galactic architect, someone who sees systems inside of systems. How does a system work? It still has multiple systems in order to make that system work. So you're like seeing quantum, like, from one level to another level to another level to another level. It has a tendency, or they, the energy is to think 10 steps ahead from a cosmic perspective, creating with logic and magic in harmony. So, logic and magic, using science and the energy of you. You yourself are stardust, and like, you know, we have our own magic, and sometimes things can't be explained even by science. So that's where we have to take the woo woo and the found logic and smuts them together. Is fiercely independent in how she sees and solves problems. So there is that energy again of enjoying solitude in some kind of way, or the independence of something. At 21 degrees Aquarius, already techie and future-minded, now becomes visionary, but emotionally detached, and sometimes but it's to stay objective. Like, you know, like sometimes we have to remove our emotions from the situations to see the situation, and that may be what it's talking about. Which this energy here, you know, the Scorpio energy, like when you get a lot of information, instead of allowing it to overwhelm you, trying to use that energy objectively, push it farther away, and be more finding a pattern and an answer in it in a detached manner. And then, so Chariklo was in conjunction with Pallas. I don't have the card here, but when I looked her up, I saw her in conjunction. So the energy of Chariklo is considered the sacred guardian of healing space. She is also the wife of Chiron. So here comes Chiron again. Known as the priestess asteroid. Energetic boundaries. You know, we always talk about our boundaries and different stuff like that, but we have unspoken boundaries, and that's what it's talking about also, the respecting of that energy. Holding space for others without absorbing their wounds. Witnessing as a healing act, being there for somebody. You don't need to do anything, you don't need to solve anything, you just need to be there for somebody. A sacred neutrality. In Aquarius, Chariklo can hold space for a collective healing through non-attachment and visionary compassion, which sometimes can mean, you ever just think positive thoughts towards somebody or something, and just keep pushing your compassion. And sometimes people don't even need to know that you're doing it, but you're pushing love towards the situation and healing towards it. And you know, that in itself is a vibe and has healing powers that sometimes are, you know, like we can't really understand how sometimes thinking and praying and, you know, pushing positive energy towards somebody can actually energetically cause a ripple of positivity to happen to somebody. And then it talks about having clean boundaries in the energetic field, like it's kind of like, it's not fuzzy, it's not jagged, it's just like, it is what it is kind of energy is basically the way I thought about it. The ability to witness radical transformation without flinching. So that whole energy kind of makes me think of this one, the Justice card that came out, you know, to be the balance for a collective. And then I wrote again, quantum level empathy that does not get overwhelmed. And the 21 degrees of Aquarius can be rebellion through wisdom. The repatterning, I can't even say it. Anyway, y'all know what I was trying to say. The collective, or regulating. Wow, words are hard sometimes. Progressive heart-led intelligence. Sacred innovation with the soul. Evolve with love, not force. Like, the funny thing is that this is the Justice card. So it's to hear both sides of something. And Libra rules over the 7th house traditionally. So it is of the 7th house. So this can be an, especially in a Sagittarius's chart, this can be relationship related. It can be the person that you're in an intimate relationship with. It can be your business partners. It can be friends who are not arm's length, but people who are like soul tribe vibe energy. And then, so the two of them together, the Oracle Strategist is what I wrote. So Pallas and Tricolo at 21 degrees Aquarius is the seer strategist who holds space for massive change, designing healing blueprints for people, which means like you could be somebody who literally just, you know, like how I'm writing out different stuff like that. You could be doing some sort of something that is a tangible, it seems tangible, something for someone to, you know, build upon. Literally, it's not the finished project, but it is kind of like, here's the map, follow it, you know. Obviously fix it if something's not right, but you know, like here's a suggestion there, something. So it's, and you can be doing it for people, groups, or an energy. You bring emotional neutrality without spiritual bypassing. So a lot of times spiritual bypassing can be like doing things sometimes from a not correct place, or going around source. I guess that's what I got from that. But anyway, and it says you download insight from the ether, but you also apply it with precision. So if you get a good idea and you sit and give yourself time to think about it, and you allow yourself to see everything, you basically are a problem solver all by yourself, which can create some type of finances and something, you know, that you could be proud of and be celebrated for. You don't just feel things, you know where to place the psychic scalpel to cause the least harm but the most healing. Do not water yourself down to be understood. You're here to change the pattern, not to fit it. So sometimes fitting in, being seen, those are definite energies. So then I got the core wound. This is what I got. So it talks about Chiron at 24 degrees Aries. Now just move to this 24 degrees Aries. This isn't just any wound. It's the kind that forges true power through vulnerability, self-acceptance through fire, identity through rapture, and also rupture. So again, this Sagittarius, to expand. You can't sometimes do something without an initiator, and sometimes it's you know, like we said, Jupiter is the great expander. So sometimes when something just is too large to ignore, I guess. The theme is, who am I really? And do I deserve to exist just as I am? This placement carries a wound around self-worth, initiative, being seen, or claiming space, as assertiveness versus aggression, feeling like you must fight to exist. It can show up as not feeling enough unless you're achieving or proving yourself. There can be an energy of shame or guilt around anger or personal power, the fear of being too much, a burden, or not enough, not considered, sometimes both at once, suppressing your fire or erupting when your identity feels threatened. Your wound is the medicine. You heal by daring to be unapologetically you, even if you're messy, loud, soft, wild, calm, quiet, unsure. And so that's where I wrote down the Pallas conjunct Tricolo at 21 degrees Aquarius, the number 2121. Mercury was at 16 degrees Aries. The moon in the 7th house with the chart ruler. So the moon was at 6 degrees when I was looking at this, and Jupiter was at 21 degrees. So 24 degrees of Aries is a Leo decan. It's a fiery, expressive layer ruled by the sun. And it talks about fear of being visible in raw truth, the doubting of worth or your light, healing through creative leadership, and radical self-expression. So the fear of not being yourself. As awkward as it can be, but definitely like, and not in a cocky way, just being you. A feeling that if I shine, I might burn someone, or I may be burned myself. I want to be seen, but I don't want to be hurt again for being me. The gift. You become a torch bearer when you own your scars, your light, and you light the way for others, still hiding theirs. You're not here to pretend you're perfect. You're here to be you boldly, imperfections and all. You are not a mistake. Your flame was never too much. Don't dim your light to comfort others. Don't fight to prove your worth. Just exist fully, loudly, and lovingly. Jupiter at 21 degrees Gemini. Growth, meaning, and blessings in the energy of the mind, duality, language, thought, and play. It's a philosopher jester. So it's like someone who teaches with comedy. A library come to life, which means that reading isn't a chore, it's fun, and it's like losing yourself in a story. A multi-dimensional Google search that sparks riddles and rhymes. So if you're literally a poet, if you're someone who writes, if you're someone who's a lyricist, if you're someone who's writing a story, that's the energy that it's talking about. The 21 degrees of Gemini is the master degree. It's the energy talking about it's peaking, which means it's not to its highest point yet, it's on its way. So pay attention to what feels loud right now. Restless brilliance, a hunger to learn everything all at once. A natural teacher who questions their own teachings, which means if you can teach your own thoughts and your own beliefs, the ability to do that. To use humor as wisdom, satire as truth, an intuitive sense of when the wind changes and how to ride it. It may mean a plane, like somebody, a plane, you are in a plane, you drive a plane, something about a plane. Shadow, scattered focus, overthinking, and truth morphing, which, don't play with the truth in some kind of way. Don't make it fit something. Don't mess with details. The gift, teaching the world how to think in fractals. So that one I thought was pretty interesting. So I feel like this energy is definitely for someone who is a coding type of energy, or some type of, one might label themselves as a computer nerd, or somebody who messes with all kinds of numbers of some sort. You will open thousands of doors to truth. So I still think that has an energy of news, like a news channel broadcasting something. Could be something like that. I don't know. The moon at 6 degrees Gemini, when I started studying this, our emotional body wants stimulation, understanding, to talk it through, even if it makes no sense yet. A sprouting phase. So let me ask more questions than I answer. That's how I'll grow. So basically it's telling you to listen, absorb information, downloading emotional truth through the mind, and feeling your way into new meaning or systems. Catching insight midair. And it does preface that it may cause an emotional response. So it's like being caught unaware with information that makes you think about something differently, like very drastically. Being cracked open by a poem, a sentence, or the perfect question. The universe is speaking in riddles, and you were born to be fluent in order to understand. Let your curiosity lead you to healing, not just for yourself, but for your tribe. So it's specifically talking about very intimate energy, like finding a way to heal something very intimate for yourself. Your words are spells, so speak them with laughter, wisdom, and love. Be wise with your words. There is no one right path. There is no one right path, but endless shimmering maybes. Follow the one that sparkles hardest. And I really enjoyed that. So I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I hope that was helpful. Honestly, me, I'm just sitting here just studying away, doing my thing, and I'm hoping over here that it helps somebody. So thank you guys for listening to my random mind mumbles. Thank you for going with me to the nth degree of the randomness that I found myself in, and I hope something I said today was helpful. Bye, guys.